Good morning, Clarence Williams. This is another edition of Now and Then. I want to talk to you about doing business as business. Doing business as business. That was my motto when I was in business or physically working in business. I had a real estate firm. I've had a construction firm. I've had a child care development firm. I am the executive director of nonprofits. So I know a lot. I know something about business. And I've always had the perspective or the perception of doing business as business. As much as I knew how, I wanted to conduct myself professionally as a business would conduct itself. And whenever I went to do a job, I wanted to be professional. Uh, I wanted to make the owner of the person that I'm working for, the customer, feel like they had just employed someone that was had integrity and that knew what they were doing, had the skills to do what they were asked or assigned or contracted to do. And then when I get back to my office, I wanted to handle my books the way that I felt like should be handled. Pay my bills the way that they should be paid. Answer the telephone the way that I believe it should be. Conduct my office, have my office in such a environment that I believe that if someone walked through the door, that they would be impressed to the extent that they would consider hiring or employing me to do their particular job or work for them. That's doing business as business. Now, on a personal level, we work. We go to work. We get a job. Everything is centered around money. It doesn't matter what you do, money is involved in it. And the more money that you have, the more you are able to do. Money, the lack of money limits what you can do, where you can go, what you can buy. And so money is very key to the success of your success and the success of your family. So you have to really take under consideration what you do with the money that you have coming into your home, into your family. Doing business as business simply means that you have to consider that. You have to be concerned about that because when you are not concerned about that, then you're going to spend money indiscriminately. And then at the end of the month, you're not going to have enough to pay the bills or to sustain the type of lifestyle that you will wish to sustain. And so we get a job, we work. We are concerned about our hourly wages, we are concerned about our benefits. And sometimes we take a job based on those parameters. Uh, Sometimes we change jobs because we feel like, that particular job now is not benefiting, meeting the needs that my family is now has grown to. And so we have to change job to try to better ourselves. Most families, uh, they have money coming in, but it is not managed. And when you don't manage the money, then you're going to have problems maintaining the type of lifestyle that your family would have that you would want to in your family. Even your child's education. Even I'm not talking about going to college now. I'm talking about just simply going to child development school, or going to a primary school, or going to a high school. You're going to need money for that. You're going to need money for that. How about a vacation? You need to go on a vacation every now and then. You're going to need a car somewhere down the line. You're going to have to need to get out of the apartment and purchase a home. Home is a Purchasing a home is a way of financial security, because you can build interest in that particular home while you are living in that home, and then you can pass it on inheritance. You can pass it on to, to your family members. So home and the purchasing of a home is very key part of financial success. But sometimes people, they're not in that position to do that. Then they live in an apartment, or they live in, other type of living arrangements. But even if you're in an apartment, you still need to do business as business. You have to be concerned about that. Now, that's just a family, or that's just a personal way of doing business. You have to have a budget, because there's money coming in and there's money going out. And you have to be able to balance what is coming in versus what is going out. And when you're upside down, you have more going out than you have coming in. And so you're always, as they would say, robbing Peter to pay Paul. You're always broke, because if you have more debt than you have more income, you are broke. Just try to pay off everything that you owe and see how much you would have left. Well, I have money in the bank. Well, you have it in the bank. It's really not yours, because you owe it to someone. You just have chosen not to pay, but you still owe it. When it becomes your money, is when you can pay off everything and still have that $10 left. That's your money. Other than that, you owe it to someone, especially when you have a mortgage. Now, the unique thing about a mortgage is that you can do it for 30 years, you can do it for 15 years, or whatever, arrangement that you would want to make with the lender. And that kind of gives you, the freedom to be able to purchase large items like that. But you still have to be concerned about, you need to pay that mortgage. And so in your budgeting, you have to be concerned about that. Well, Brother Williams, my budget is, my mortgage is only $550 a month. Yes, that's your mortgage amount, but you still have to be concerned about that 250,000 that you owe on the mortgage, not just the 550. And the same thing with the car or any other uh, credit that you may have. That's that part. Now let me get to government. Let me get to government. That's where I want it to be, in the government arena, because the Republicans just passed this uh, 2 trillion, well, let's just call it big, beautiful, one big, beautiful bill. We don't know how much the thing is. One big, beautiful bill. They still have not submitted a budget. I know that's surprising. They have already passed this big, beautiful bill, but they still have not submitted a budget. Donald Trump now has just gone through his 6 month being his administration, but he still has not, Congress has not, the Republicans in the House and the Senate has not submitted a budget. That is strange. And then when they say budget, let me give you the definition of their budget. It is not a budget. It is allocations. They call it a budget, but it's not. it's an allocation because what they are doing is line item, putting a list down of all of the expenditures that they are allocating to different funds, whether it is military, whether it is Social Security, Medicare, SNAP, those energy, whatever those line items are, there is a figure beside it. Now, a budget would be opposite of that. How you're going to pay for it, then it becomes a budget because you have money coming in here and you have money going out. That's a budget. But the government budget is not that because they are upside down when it comes to the amount that is coming in versus the amount that's going out. And we have a $37 trillion GDP now. $37 trillion. And we have no, we have a 30, we have 1.5 interest that we are paying on our debt. Wow. That's just a figure within itself. 1.5 trillion that we are paying on our debt on a $37 trillion GDP. Now, how are we going to pay that? Well, the revenue that's coming in, we're trying to increase that. How are we going to increase that? We have taxes. Yes, that's coming in. That will not do. We have already laid off so many different departments, employees, trying to cut our overhead. I'm talking about federal government now, trying to cut our overhead so we can try to save that money. We have already eliminated our U.S. aid to other foreign countries because they're needing our assistance. Their citizens are starving, but we no longer want to send aid over there to them because we are trying to uh, increase our income. We are getting rid of the immigrants, which simply means that the those that were working that are paying their taxes, we're no longer getting that. So we are adding some, and then we are losing some. We are cutting back on the different line items that Congress has already in the past approved. That's what we call reconciliation. We are, and Congress just passed that, by the way. They have just passed the bill to reconstitute some of those expenditures or giveaways that they have already approved to give to these different organizations. They are taking it back, all trying to now increase the income that is coming in. And the tariffs, it's not about the fentanyl. It is about trying to still increase the income that is coming in because Donald Trump and the Republicans cannot afford to pay for this one big, beautiful bill. And so, what they're doing is trying to increase the income that is coming in. But then, on the other side of that, within that one big, beautiful bill, it is a tax cut, tax break to the rich and the famous. So, you have money coming in, and then you have not enough money coming in, and you have a whole lot of money that's going out. So how are you going to take care of that? Well, the government can just print some more money. Just print it. Yeah, just go up in there and print some money. You can't do that because that would put so many dollars on the market, and that would be just upsetting the whole market. So you can't do that. So then, what else are you going to do? How does the United States pay its debt? Well, it pay it by uh, income tax. No, you don't do that because I've just showed you it don't do that. You pay it by uh, some other means of something coming in, capital gain tax or something. You don't do that because whatever you do, it is not enough money coming in, and you certainly can't reprint the money. So how does the United States pay? Now, us working men doing business is business. We get a job. Government can't do that. The way the government pay its debt, accumulates money to pay its debt, is by the selling of bonds. That's the way we, the United States, is dependent on these same countries that we are charging tariffs on to help us pay our debt. We want these countries to buy our bonds, and that's how we pay our debt. But now the interest rate on those bonds keep going higher and higher. And that's one reason why the president wants Jerome Powell to cut the interest rate. Because if he cuts the interest rates, then the interest on the selling of those bonds will go down. Let me say it this way. If the interest rate on a bond, which is the money that you have to pay when you sell a bond, if you sell a bond for 10%, then that means you're going to have to pay that person that purchased that bond 10% interest on him purchasing that bond. Well, if the interest rate is 5%, then you only have to pay 5%. So he wants Jerome Powell to cut that interest rate because the money that the companies that's purchasing these bonds are earning is breaking the United States of America. But that's the only way that the United States can get money to pay its debt. And they keep doing it. And right now, 1.5 trillion is the interest that's being paid on the debt. And he's getting all of these countries totally upset. Now, let me tell a little bit of the then. That's the same situation that uh, Rome was in. Rome, last great empire, Rome. Rome was in debt up to its neck. What Rome did was invaded uh, Egypt, Cleopatra. And when Rome invaded Egypt and conquered Egypt, then Rome assumed all of the wealth of Egypt. And that's how Rome began to get out of all of the debt that Rome was in. United States is doing something similar. They're not invading, but they have tariffs. This is not a this is not a military war. This is a tariff war. We are not invading you with our military, but we are invading you with our commerce. And we are saying to you, you're going to have to pay us in order to do business with us. Why? because we need that money. And then he's going to Ukraine and he is telling Ukraine, listen, if you want us to help you, you're going to have to sign a mineral contract with us where we can have access to some of those minerals that you have over there. Still invasion, but it's just not a military invasion. Just got mad with Putin because Putin has been using him for so long. He said he was going to get rid of the war in Ukraine. Day one, Putin just kept on talking to him and making him feel good. And he thinking he has a plan or has a stop ceasefire plan with Putin. And every time Putin go bomb everybody. And then now he's upset with Putin. Now he's ready to send Ukraine all of these weapons that he just stopped. Said he's not going to send, and he's not going to put no tariffs on Russia because that's defeating the purpose. Now he's ready to do all of that. But guess how he's going to be sending the weapons to Ukraine now? He's going to sell the weapons to Europe. He's going to sell the weapons to Europe, and then Europe is going to give the weapons to Ukraine. That's doing business as business. I have no problem with that. I have no problem with him signing a mineral treaty contract with Ukraine. That's doing business as business. The only concern that I have with the United States in the way that President Trump is doing what he's doing is that he's doing it for a selfish purpose. When you know that you're in a financial problem and then now you're taking away from the poor and giving it to the rich, if you really want to get yourself out of this financial bind, stop giving the rich the money. Let everybody pay the taxes instead of giving them a break. That's the only problem I have. Other than that, do your thing. Do your thing. But he will not do that because by giving the tax breaks to the rich, he's also giving a tax break to himself. And he knows that he only has 3.5 years to play with right now. And once that is over, well, even if he didn't have that, even if he had longer than that, Donald Trump game is to make money. And that's what he does. Now you say, well, he bankrupt. He's been bankrupt 3 times. He's still making money. And that's his game. And anyone that's in business, that is in business not to make money, need to get out of business. I'm Clarence Williams. This is another edition of